So what happens when a highly trained military technician sees something in the sky that by all accounts should not exist? And what if he then tracks down the one physicist on the planet whose patents seem to describe that exact impossible technology and just sends him an email? Well, that is the absolutely wild story we are diving into in this explainer.
It all kicks off with a sighting. But we're not talking about a blurry photo from a backyard. We're talking about an aircraft that seems to completely ignore the known laws of physics. And the person who saw it? Well, he's no casual observer. He's a military pro, someone whose entire career is about knowing exactly what's flying up there.
So, you see something like that, what do? Well, according to our source material, this technician hits the books. He starts digging through public records, and his search leads him to a high-level U.S. Navy physicist, a guy whose work just might hold the key to what he witnessed. And this is where it gets really interesting. He actually reaches out. A Space Force technician just cold emails a top Navy engineer about this impossible craft. The reply he gets back, well, it starts a chain reaction that the book The Scientific Indictment describes as nothing less than forensic proof of a reality that's been hidden from all of us. Okay, before we go any further, we have to talk about the observer himself. Because look, if the witness isn't credible, this whole thing just falls apart, right? So who exactly is the man who saw this impossible machine? The man at the center of all of this is Kyle P. Knop. He's an electronics mechanic for the United States Space Force, and his background here is absolutely crucial. We're talking over 15 years as a trained observer, including time spent as a specialist on some of the most advanced aircraft out there. This is a guy whose job it is to tell fact from fiction in the sky. So back in late 2017 at Hurlburt Field, Florida, Knop didn't just see some weird light. He used his professional training to do what the source calls a technical briefing from an impossible machine. He actually identified its propulsion system as being silent, gravity-distorting, and plasma-based. I mean, that's text straight out of a physics textbook, not something that's supposed to be flying around. You can imagine seeing something like that sends Knop down a rabbit hole searching for answers. And that search led him to one name in particular, Dr. Salvatore Pais, a U.S. Navy aerospace engineer whose work was, let's just say, as brilliant as it was controversial. Now, at the heart of Dr. Pais's research is something called the Pais Effect. The theory itself is pretty mind-bending, but the gist is this. By generating an incredibly powerful electromagnetic field, a craft could essentially wrap itself in a bubble. And inside that bubble, it could manipulate space-time, reduce its own mass, and pull off maneuvers that are just impossible for us right now. And this wasn't just some theory scribbled on a napkin. Dr. Pais had a whole series of U.S. Navy patents to back it up. They described the whole shebang, a craft using an inertial mass reduction device, a gravitational wave generator, and even a compact fusion device to power it all. The source argues this isn't just a list of cool ideas. It's literally a blueprint for a revolutionary new vehicle. Now, here's where the story takes a really strange turn. When the U.S. Patent Office first saw these ideas, they basically rejected them as science fiction. But then, the Navy's own Chief Technology Officer, a Dr. James Sheehy, personally stepped in. He filed a sworn statement saying that no, this technology was not only possible, but was in fact operable, and that it was vital to national security. I mean, wow. Okay, so let's recap. We have a highly credible witness. We have a set of official patents describing exactly what he saw. And we have the Navy itself going on the record saying the tech is real. So the next logical step for Knop, he had to contact Dr. Pais directly. And this is the very first reply Knop gets. Instead of brushing him off, Dr. Pais opens with, "My Space Force brother," which the source says is basically establishing a back channel between two insiders. And then he drops this cryptic bombshell, talking about a 2027 deadline and a threat that makes the asteroid Apophis look like small potatoes. So after that first email, Knop sends over his detailed report on what he saw, the triangular craft. And this was the response. According to the book, this is the first pillar of proof. You've got the inventor of the technology himself, in writing, telling the eyewitness his account is not crazy at all. I mean, that's a direct validation from the one person on Earth who would know. But the conversation didn't just stop there. Over the next few months, Knop, who was working with an AI research partner he called Core, kept sending more of his theories to Dr. Pais. And this ongoing exchange led to what the source calls an absolutely stunning admission. This right here is the email the source calls the final blow, the mic drop moment. After getting a really detailed analysis from Knop, Dr. Pais doesn't argue, he doesn't debate, he says he is stumped and that he must bend the knee and remain silent. The book argues this isn't a discussion anymore, it's a total concession. But right after that incredible concession, that open channel between them just slammed shut. A little over a month later, the communication came to a very sudden and very official end. This is the final and maybe the most revealing email of all. I mean, just look at the shift in tone. He goes from brother to dear sir. And Dr. Pais says it plain as day. He was told by his USN command not to correspond on these matters. For the source, this is the smoking gun. The conversation wasn't shut down because it was nonsense. It was shut down because it was getting way too close to the truth. So, how does the book, The Scientific Indictment, pull all these different threads together? Well, it frames this entire email exchange as the absolute cornerstone of a much bigger argument, what it calls a Gnostic indictment. And Gnostic just means it's an indictment based on secret insider knowledge. The book lays this out like a perfect four-step loop of forensic proof. You've got 1, the event, from a credible military witness. 2, the science, the actual patents for the craft's propulsion system. 3, the validation, where the inventor himself confirms it. And finally 4, the suppression, when his command steps in to shut it all down. For the author, this isn't just speculation. It's a closed case.
And there you have it. This email exchange is the bedrock of the book's entire argument. It's the foundation upon which a much, much larger claim is built, one that gets into hidden history, suppressed physics, and a secret war over knowledge itself. And it really leaves us with a pretty provocative question. If this is just the cornerstone, what else is the rest of the building made of? What else has been hidden from us?